In the beginning, it was a lot of learning. I had to go back to studying, actually. You know, I signed up to every workshop around town, whether it was sales skills or negotiation or target market or whatever it may be, because you're now suddenly faced with needing to build a brand, build a company.
Welcome to this week's edition of Indigo Living on the Couch series. Each week we invite special guests to inspire you and inspire me. Now this month we focused on leading women in the area of marketing and media. That's right, we're going to get all your questions answered, from how to create the perfect Instagram account, how to create a small business, and of course how to brand yourself. Now this week I'm so excited to have a super expert on board, my friend and business owner of Ti22 Films, Reim Al Houni. Thank you for being here on set with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm so thrilled that you're on set, because we constantly get questions from young entrepreneurs, people starting out in the world of social media, and of course television, of how to make their break. You have been in all mediums, so whether it's traditional television right through digital. Let's start where you started off. How did you start your career in media?
I started really young. I started interning at a TV station, actually at NBC when they were based in the UK, and I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I remember that very first feeling, being in a live studio environment, and it was just so exciting for me. All the way back to, I remember recording TV shows, on VHS at the time, and I knew that I'd go back and look at the credit lists and see all the names of everyone working on it, and it was first name dot surname at bbc.co.uk. So I'd literally contact everybody just to get more experience, and eventually that worked, and that's how I started and got my break.
Now you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business. How have things changed for you?
Hugely. I started my company Ti22 Films 9 years ago, and I went from being an executive producer at a TV station to becoming an entrepreneur and needing to understand everything in the world of business. In the beginning, it was a lot of learning. I had to go back to studying, actually. You know, I signed up to every workshop around town, whether it was sales skills or negotiation or target market or whatever it may be, because you're now suddenly faced with needing to build a brand, build a company, get clients, socialize with people. So I've had to learn new skills in order to make my business a success, which have nothing to do with my ability to produce good content. So I would say that's the main difference. And I have to keep learning because it changes so much.
What is your advice for whether it's a small business or a big business entering that digital world and finding their space and their medium?
I think they just have to start, because it's one of those things where a lot of companies are in denial about the fact that social media is where it's at, whether it's the eyeballs, whether it's the engagement, whether it's just the sheer volume of content that goes out on, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or what I really believe in at the moment is LinkedIn. Long gone are the days of trying to push a product or push a brand or just put your sales pitch on video. It has to come out in a more informative way, because right now the most Googled term is how to or how do I.
Yes.
So everyone's trying to learn. So just start, just get going.
What is your thought on the effectiveness of an influencer, or is that term even relevant now?
We were actually one of the first, if not the first, in Dubai, because we started in 2014 before the word influencer was really well known. And we were trying to get brands to understand that you can work with personalities to create content in the digital space. It was very hard at that time because brands still put their money on traditional media. But now I think people are starting to realize that people buy from people. So it's not about influencers, but it's about buying from someone who has credibility in that specific niche. It's how do you use your knowledge to actually influence an audience to follow through with what your advice is in that niche.
Reim, I want to take your expert advice of the ever-changing world of social media. Let's look at Instagram, for example. They're removing likes. How is that changing the platform?
I think that's great, you know, because finally people will start to focus on the quality of the content. So from my perspective, it's always been a vanity matrix. It's always been something where, you know, you're so conscious about, oh, how many likes did this photo get and how many likes. It doesn't matter, you know, if people are not engaging with that content, it's an irrelevant number. So I'm hoping that, you know, when social platforms do something like this, it forces everyone else to pay attention to what actually matters, which is better content.
Exactly.
So for as far as I'm concerned, it's a great step forward.
Let's talk about the importance of followers, influencers. I mean, this number of millions, or is it better to have smaller numbers but more focused so you know your audience? What is your opinion on this area?
I'm a big believer that everyone is an influencer. You, me, my next door neighbor, everyone. It's all about who you can influence with what and how. So just to give people an example, if I was a cycling brand, and there's a cyclist out there who has 2,000 followers and everything on their feed is focused on the route cycling to Al Barari and the helmet that they just bought and the shin pads that they wear, versus a big fashion influencer who may have the hundreds of thousands or even the million, but her feed is focused on all the latest fashion trends and beauty tips. As a brand, you're likely to get much higher results from the person who has the 2,000 followers, because the engagement levels are going to be much higher. That audience is almost like a ready-made audience for your product. And there will be brands out there who will start to understand the value of you being an influencer on your audience. So no, it doesn't matter, small, big, it's about the passion and about the focus on your niche.
That is such great advice. So we have to follow you because we're gonna have to hear your podcast very soon. But I will say we are so inspired by women who are creating businesses, and also with your experience. I mean, I think that's the most important thing from being at such major networks. We were at a network together, and to see you have your own business, which is very exciting. Now, everyone who comes on the show has to give us our motto of what it's like to live beautifully for you.
To live freely and give back. So I think to know you can wake up every day and do what you're passionate about and share that with others.
That's so nice. Well, thank you for being on our show. We loved hearing from you, and such great tips, whether you're a small business owner or even just starting in the social media space. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for all our viewers, thank you for joining us every week. It is so nice to hear from you. Like and comment below, and see you next week.